Good morning, good day, February 8th, 2021, Monday, and this is your friend Engineer Suraj Singh speaking from Bharat, India regarding professional issues deliberations. Professional issues in engineering very important for everybody because engineering is related to everyone. There's nothing very secret in this talk. It's very open talk to everybody, whoever tries to listen to this or tries to get involved in generality of professional civil engineering and all other engineering. I always think how to best define engineering. That's very important that we have to define engineering. You may say this very different question. Why are you asking this? Why are you thinking that engineering needs to be defined? Yes, you are right. Engineering is established, that's fact, but that is professional establishment of engineering. I'm talking of elementary definition of engineering, which is not exactly confined to syllabus of engineering and practical use of engineering. It is something that's related to very common existence of human being related to universe. I always start with universe because that is first engineering. When there was no engineering definition, universe was engineered product. Not by human, but by those powers which we do not know what these are. Those powers, those powers are really very, very unknown and outstandingly extraordinary. We can't even imagine, we can't even know what these powers are, and that's why there is no justification. But engineering and sciences require everything to be very explicitly defined. So I'm just trying to find what is that explicit definition. That explicit definition which is really one has to enjoy that definition, which one must say this is mine and this is reality of life. That definition, a reality of life, that definition is very important for everybody because life is related somewhere directly or indirectly to such definitions. We can say anything, we can think anything, we can think something, we can say anything and something. For me, almost same, but only difference is anything is used when we speak negatively and something is used when we think positively. So here I'm saying we think positively about what is engineering, how it works, how it happens, and what do you mean by engineering? That's point here. What do you mean by engineering? That's very important point. And I again and again plead that engineering is nothing but, nothing more than, you can say, sequence of thinking. When I say sequence of thinking, does not mean one thinking or two thinking. It could be whatever number of thinking, continuation. Thinking, though it's very small word think, but it has very vast meaning. Think, THINK, it's very small, but it is unit of work, it's unit of everything. Without thinking, you cannot do anything in life. And if you do something without thinking, certainly you will mislead. You will go on a path that misleads you and you reach somewhere you did not decide to go there. So thinkless or thoughtless it is. And when you think means you use logic. After thinking starts, you enter into the world of logic word of rationality, word of process of judicial making decision, or making judicial decision, judicially making decision, or executively making decisions, or you can say you have to make certain decisions in life that requires immense power of thinking. Not only thinking, also relate that thinking to operational thinking, not simply fundamental thinking, operational thinking, and that further moves on to further higher degree of logic of thinking. So if you say thinking is not a word only, it's a whole spectrum of all this word. You think, we say think before you do. Yes, you should think before you do, but people sometimes miss this and they do not think, but they do. But engineering says that you are engineer only when you think first and do next and do next and do next and then think, review and do next and do next and do next. It's like that. So on an overall basis, I can say that it is thinking process, then we follow doing process, and then we follow delivering process. And in these three fundamental processes, there are so many processes. Further, if you define on certain pathology, you can say management principles. Yes, we are there somewhere, and we know what we are talking about. Engineering actually relates to everybody resident of this world, because we are on earth, and earth is very small engineering universe, very small engineering part of universe. We do not know what sort of engineering exists on other parts of universe or universes. On earth itself, humanity is a product of God's engineering. Humanity and all other creatures all are results of, products of God's engineering. All this mundane world, we call this earth, materialistic earth, material containing earth, it is all parts of, all results of God's engineering. And it's very small part, a small product of that, because universe is very vast, as there is no dimensions. We can think beyond imaginations, beyond horizons and beyond mirages. We can move. So again I say, engineering professionals and those who are not engineering professionals, both must know what is about engineering. Engineering is not, I'm talking discipline engineering, I'm talking of engineering which is very different world and which is used for purpose of production, development and furthermore. Always I try to define something every day, because when I am fresh early morning, mind is off track of active cells and it works very smooth. Early morning time when environment is settled, there is no turbulence in air. I'm not talking of physical turbulence, I'm talking of spiritual turbulence. Mind is free and mind can analyze rapidly what thinking does. Sometimes you don't feel that a person is thinking, but that person remains in thinking mode for hours together, and maybe person's eyes are open, mind works very fast, but sometimes that person can't see what is there on desk. That happens because that stage we call immersion of mind in that spectrum of thinking world. From where, that is a machine actually, that is spectrum I'm calling. It's a machine that analyzes every information it receives. So I can say mind of everybody should be fertile, fertile in a way. It should not be silent or it should not stop. When required, it should work and analyze. But everybody cannot be expected to be analyst, because analyst work is very boring, very complicated, but interesting for that person who analyzes something. Maybe it's very boring for others because others do not know what person is analyzing about. They just want to know answers, and based on answers they take decisions. So answers means it is a response to issues, whatever issue you had, and after analyzing it, after processing it in analytical equipment, you get certain answers, certain responses out, and those responses are used by people. Only analyst understands how much work he has done, though that work can't be measured because that is analytical work. It's completely mental work, nothing to do with physical activity. But analysis and those results generate work for all others who are followers of analyst. So when I say analyst, this means thinker, an executive thinker, judicial thinker, or you can say creative thinker. Creative means a kind of legislative person who creates something for use by others. That creation is actually elementary engineering. Okay, engineering, we are using it as a term, it as a field, a world where people think and do. You will not find engineers who cannot think. And if you find them, maybe they are not full-fledged engineers, or they are just living for sake of engineering, for sake of something, and they are not up to mark where one should be. Qualification of engineering does not mean that one person becomes thinker. Yes, qualifications of course forces one to think at every step. But that depends upon that person who receives that information, whether to think or not to think. It's not essential that everybody thinks. And if you think, really it's interesting to you as well as to others, because thinking is not to be paid back. There is no bill charged, nothing happens, and not time. No, you can say considerable time is taken. Rather than if you do something without thinking, and then you make mistakes, correction of those mistakes, because the solutions would come only after thinking. So that's very costly affair. Time cost and you can say quality all are disturbed here. You lose time, you lose quality, you lose cost, everything you lose there because you made mistakes because of doing thinkless activity. So I can say engineer is a person who is used to thinking, and it doesn't mean serious face. Again I say it doesn't mean serious face. Thinking while doing something and thinking while doing nothing, both are different. Thinking while do something, that thinking generates operational research work. And thinking while you are not doing anything, you are thinking, you are just philosophical thinker of something, or you imagine something in your mind, some picture into your mind, some diagram into your mind, or some theorem into your mind, something you do and you keep on thinking, and that takes you to long drive. It's really very much you can say. I cannot say extraordinary or outstanding, but I can say it's essential. Essential part of life. It is very much essential part of life. Even if you are not in engineering profession, whole life is engineering. Engineering that is originally genuine, it gives product. It gives product of for some product in whatever format. It gives that. It may be useful, it may not be useful, that is different, but product is product. And engineering is supposed to produce something that is useful and sustainable. Useful currently, and it is sustainable for future times. And if it does not do that, this means we waste natural resources, because those resources which can't be used after being produced go waste. This is very important point that engineering gives us. Engineering teaches us that. That's why I say intellectualism. Intellectualism. I'm not saying education. I don't say it means you keep your eyes and your mind at distant location and think of now. That's what it is. Think your mind. Think of for your think for current time. Think for current time means you have current solutions to find, because problems exist currently, and currently you need solution. It doesn't mean you solve it only for current problem. Yes, you have to solve it for current problem, but this should be adequate enough. This solution should be adequate enough to continue for long run. A long run means sustainable development we call it, or sustainable work we call it. That works today and it can work for time to come. Means natural resource, whatever we use now, should be durable enough to work for a long time. And we should think that way. We should design that product, that process. We should use a process where utility of natural resources is enhanced multiple times and continue forever till that product changes its decompositions totally. It's very different, and I think it's job of educated engineers to contemplate on this issue, because we study a lot in our engineering program, many subjects, say 40 subjects probably, maybe 35, maybe 50, depending on your interest, but a lot of studies done all over the world. That study is fine, means you have to learn something, you have to feed something in the mind. And mind is a receptacle, it's like software, and you have to plan in your mind, and then it comes out as expression by engineers or multi-work, or you can say engineering is individual based as well. Whatever we learn, it doesn't mean others learn same. I learn something with superficial study, then I learn again and again many times, and I am not even sure what I learned is applicable in life. I just learned until I experience what learning I achieved. I won't know what actually it is or that was. When you apply that knowledge physically, practically, you will find so many difference, so much, what you thought was not exactly same. The other time when I imagined in my school or college, when lecturer told me, I imagined something, and I was very young at that time, but I could not realize what it was until I take it up to my practice. So we can say practice. It doesn't mean professional brilliance in practice. This means experience. What you work, wherever you work, you learn additional knowledge that comes out of by virtue of experience. And experience means application of theory, application of engineering theory, and use of natural materials, and to understand those materials really, and to know what you learned was exactly not same what you are experiencing, and this experience leads you to immense augmentation of knowledge that you could never get in. This knowledge can't be received by transfer from person to person. but from one person based on experience to some other person. When you experience something, it becomes very easy or too convenient to explain to someone else what you learned. But when you learn theoretically, it becomes not that easy to transfer that knowledge to someone else so conveniently, because you are confined there by various processes, various applications, various theories, and various formula derivations or empiricalism, which all are very different. But when you see yourself something by your eyes and you think of that and evolve solution, further solution, that is different kind of learning. You may call it tutorial or practical, or where risk is involved, money is involved, and you can say time is involved, and quality is involved, or whatever leftover property, all are involved. So I mean that that point is very, very, respectable if you think this way of turnkey style. Turnkey does not mean what we think. This means totality, you can say. Turnkey means something can be moved clockwise or it can be moved clockwise, to close it or to open it respectively. It's therefore very important point that definition of engineering must be understood by everyone in its own way. If I ask this question to you, define engineering, I think everybody shall have different explanation or different response to that question. If somebody will define its own engineering, somebody will define what they do, means that is different one. My question is to philosophically, or you can say in a style, means you just define engineering without keeping in mind which branch of engineering, and that's point which is very, very extraordinary. Though it's not given anywhere, somewhere, I have seen many definitions of engineering: use of natural resources, optimum use of natural resources, like that, and those theorems, etc., etc. But why I understand is engineering is very important process of mind, process of application of mind. Means if you want to get something, means you have to think for that. See, there are two ways. You think something and reach somewhere without knowing where do you reach, or you keep in mind some destination and keep on thinking and start thinking on that. You have to reach that destination, and by how many times you think, what you consider points there, what you consider properties there, assumptions there, those may help, those may not help, but then you have to reach that destination, and that's also called engineering. And you think on some item, some material, some process, some point, and you reach somewhere to define result, and that result is engineered project. When you say turnkey projects, what does it mean? And when you say construction project, what does it mean? And when you say certification, what does it mean? It carries actually same meaning as well as different meanings. Nobody can define this fact. We say critical thinking is very important in profession or in life. Yes, that's point. I agree. Critical thinking or risk-free thinking or risk-supported thinking or riskful thinking, or whatever way you think, thinking is a process. Thinking is a process that even you forget when did you start thinking about this issue and what was point that came into your mind. You were forced to think. That's very important point. I say thinking, and thinking in itself means something extraordinary, that we can say thinking is something very, very extraordinary point, and we can say fine, it is okay if we think we do something, and if we don't think, we do not do anything. So thinking is something we can say it is very extraordinary, and it is all that. Yes, what do you want? Yes, what do you want? Tell me. Why are you calling? Why are you calling? Bloody hell. सारे हाथ को bloody यूं करेंगे बस खत्म बात. Why are you calling? सारा डिस्टर्ब करता है यार. What do you mean by that? डिस्टर्ब करते हैं. Unnecessary calling, bloody nonsense. So, why are you calling? God, idiots stay in this country. I was thinking and talking about thinking, and somebody came and disturbed me. Bloody hell, doing just waving, and that's it. My God, people can't sleep as well. So when I say critical thinking is very important, critical thinking is very important because it doesn't mean which we understand. Critical thinking doesn't mean what we understand. It means that there will be critics for your statement, there will be critics for everything, but that should be logical. If critics are logical, if criticism is logical, I'm not saying constructive, no, it's not really constructive. It can be destructive as well. Those who say you are criticizing someone, it should be constructive. I don't understand meaning of that. What is constructive here means? Criticism is criticism. And when I say critical, why you are saying critical thinking then? Means if you say critical thinking in something, then criticism is acceptable. But don't relate it to constructive or destructive, because critical is critical. Critical means neither this end nor that end. You are in such a state, you are such a turning point. If you go beyond, or if you come back, both are dangerous. That's why it's called critical. Means there is no other option at that point of critic. It doesn't mean critic is a person. Yes, you criticize someone because you are unable to understand, and that person who did it also could not understand that it would reach critic way. But remember, that's point where from solution starts coming in. That's point. Solutions always lie at critical point. We can call critical path method, we say in our planning CPM, critical path method. But every path is critical which can be used. Used in a way, time is saved, cost is saved, value is saved, and in fact technology is developed, durability is developed, reliability is developed, and that is very difficult. That point can be unique only. There cannot be too many points. If there are too many points generated, we cannot call them critical points because there is option. Critical point means you have to think there itself. This is what I achieved by that criticality. Everybody has different options, different mental application, different strength of thinking. So everybody will get different reach here. So critic or critical path, or you can say it is critical stage. We have to be very worried about this. Critical stage means I am not saying it is super stage, but critical stage means this is answer to some problem. And answer to problem is job of engineering application. Not engineering application I am saying. Application of engineering. When there is a problem, this problem requires to be resorted to solution, and this is called application of engineering. This solution can be plus or minus, but it should work. Only time would tell how it works. Sometimes it's clear that it will work optimally, otherwise it says we have to see, we have to experience out how it would work. That's point of is thinking. You may say, thinking a lot, I thought a lot. You thought a lot is other point. It is you who is required to think. But is it okay? Your thinking, your thinking title could be different and the result is altogether varying. This means there is some complication in your process of thinking. You're not able to understand clearly, no problem. It happens. Thinking once doesn't mean anything. Of course, it gives something, and when you think again, you get something else. So, it is a sequence of thinking, and thinking is refined further and further. When you think something 10 times, last 8 6 times would be your own. You need not worry about because it's already programmed in your mind. So you can say that process of thinking, how many process of thinking you do, you evolve all constitute in your mind as permanently programmed. Not erroneously, I say permanently. Because whatever you program in whatever way, it's part of your knowledge. This knowledge may be full or half. This knowledge may be defective or corrective. This knowledge may be correct or not correct. That depends on what you started with. Even sometimes mistakes are programmed, errors are programmed, those cannot be depleted, those cannot be deleted. No problem, these work their way otherwise, just like electron works in atomic structure. This ionization is a positive or negative. You get electrons or you release electron, electronic process exists. Similarly, you are thinking erroneously or you are thinking right way without errors. It's all there, and negative, negative works for positive and positive works for negative, or similar signs work together. Results are altogether, varying. So engineering, you can say, if I ask everybody, those who are in engineering profession, you try yourself, you ask yourself, what is engineering? If I interview someone, I would simply say, as I do many times, define engineering. Once happened that I was fortunately conducting some interviews, and one very experienced and senior engineer of rank of superintending engineer in government, he had an intention to go overseas for work, and he appeared in that interview, civil engineer, and went through his CV. Well, I did not realize that this person, well, I should not say that, but I raised one question, very, very elementary question, which is not, you cannot say it's very big engineering question, but it forces one to think, which we never think. We know material, we know what material is, and what composite materials are, what compounding materials are, what are mixes. We know all that. It's not that somebody is coming to teach us about them. By virtue of experiences, by virtue of knowledge, we know that. I simply raised very, very elementary question to that gentleman, Mr. Engineer, please define concrete. What is concrete? I mean to say define concrete, or what is concrete? It's the same thing. I think that person could not understand my question. Can you define concrete? Can you explain? Can you tell me what is concrete? Well, that person, I think, was shocked. That looked at our face when the question was, is it concrete? Concrete is concrete. Well, I did not find any answer from that person of rank of superintending engineer, and this was in 1999, 22 years before, or 21 years before. So this means we work in field, we work in profession, and similarly I raised many questions to those hundreds of interviews there. For example, very, very elementary question was, some people came for computer operative and all that. We can do computer, we can do this, we can do that, and we have engineering knowledge, we can do this work in engineering. I had different type of thinking operation there. I don't say come one by one, so come on, all sit down, 10% sit down, no problem. I arrange, it's all set, and I'm asking you take this paper and first of all write your experience. There's no way, already serious. People generally don't write total experience on curriculum vitae because of there's a standard what human resources think about. My approach has always been different. You can say kind of better, good, innovative. You may say that. I don't need you come in line, sit down. No, come on, sit down, all sit down, no problem. I have enough way to talk to you. So if you are suppose 10% sitting, they give paper to them. Okay, write about your experience, what work with you there. So really it's very difficult actually, I know. You prepare CV and submit that. That CV gives information. Why is that even people don't remember that CV, what they wrote, what projects were there. And people also customize that CV to suit interview position, though that's wrong. Means you just give your experience. Why you want to design your experience, transmit it in a way that people should know you suit this position or this position suits you, because that is not right way of professional style. It's not right way of professional conduct. You do what you write, what you say. So I say, okay, you write your experiences, and you, of course, we know when did you pass, what happened, we know that. What's your structure of education you did, that's okay. So if you want them, write. And what they write you, then to question on them, that you can see, you can catch up with secret, catch up with fake statements people submit. Anyway, I'm just giving you something. How could it be done in way people can't even expect? It happened. That's okay. You did this project fine. Can you just tell me what's dimension of this, or how much quantity was involved in that, and what was your role, and what did you do in that role? So actually, that you will find that 70% people will fail. That's true, because 50% of CVs or more, contents of CV are baseless, fabricated. Okay, let them do it, no problem. They want job. Maybe they want people should not just put this CV in dustbin, so they write something attractive on that. But it doesn't work practically. Some says I can use Excel. In those days, in 1999, Lotus 123 or Excel were very attractive softwares. Lotus 123 was little not known to people, but Excel was very common. I am not talking of Word or PowerPoint because everybody can use them. At that time, Excel was very innovative software, and because I learned it myself, I did not get much feedback from my instructors. Means I just asked, please write yourself 3 or 4 values in cells. Your value, whatever you want to write values, some values, and multiply them. Multiply them. Well, when I say multiply them, people used to apply command of AutoSum. I could not understand. I say, what is that written? Oh, this is formula, we use this formula. But this is AutoSum. This is what we use. I ask you, multiply. Believe me, we won't believe. You won't accept fact that not even single person appearing for interview could do it. They graphics, they could I can make graph, I can do AutoSum, I can do this, I can do average. I realized that people did not do study well, and instructors did not teach because instructors in themselves went away of that. I'm just trying to say that until we learn something rightly or in full, we should not apply partners. Means it's not a question of Excel, I'm saying it's question of engineering, it's question of non-engineering. You know that there are some set programs, some set templates in software, you can use them, or whatever the software designer or that company selling softwares, whatever they design to sell that program, that's okay, that's fine. But world doesn't limit to that. And when we say innovation or when we say think more, it's the same thing. If I say well, I want multiply these values, I don't understand what's wrong. Because every Excel or worksheet cell calculates. Every cell can calculate. This also means that every cell is connected to some calculator or calculation program or calculator. So when it is, why should I depend only what program of software gives? Okay, that is to help people to save time, but it does not stop. You should stop thinking. It does not prevent one from thinking. And that's what I say critical thinking. Don't stop at critical thinking. Move further. If you say, where do you go from there? There is no bar. If you cross that critical thinking, you can move further and you have to reach to some other world where everything exists. I got critical line, I cross that line, maybe I can got another critical line which is higher value critical line. Then I may get super critical line or may get more and more critical line, or you can say expansion of your contemplation. You get more projection, you give more projection, and then you project yourself or your expansion projects itself to you. Means there are mutually different moments. You can go that way or that way comes to you. As close as you go to that envelope of mind, you get more and more information, more and more secrets closer to you. And critical thinking means, supercritical thinking means secrets arrive to you. Secrets flow to you without any restriction, without any resistance. Because when you are distant, there was a long journey for them to travel, and you have you have to apply long thinking to reach that place. But now you have got closer. By rapid movement, you get that information very shortly and very rapidly. That point is really very important, I should say. It's not only important, it's very significant for everybody. Because criticality actually itself thinks, and you think that you are thinking. That's point. Yes, your mind works on that, your mind receives that, and we start thinking and doing all that. And really it's very interesting. Maybe in beginning, when you get results of thinking, you may take it lightly. Okay, this happens, I thought this way, it happened this way. But if you keep on concentrating on that line of action of thinking, well, I think you will get great success. Keep on thinking that way, on that line of action you started with. Don't change. And then if time comes, then thinking, you are not thinking, but thinking is thinking for you. Thinking thinks for you. And that stage is called engineering stage. It is engineering, you can say. when problem is telling you solution, when problem itself announces solution to you, because your mind is your friend. Your mind is your absolute master friend. Maybe you do not like it in beginning when you feel that you are strained or you are stressed. People very often say, I'm stressed, I'm strained. They don't know meaning of strain, but they generally use them as stresses or tensions. Okay? This means your mind and your soul are not ready or not having readily strength to digest power of thinking. Means your power of thinking is not for you. So you are thinking, but you have to train your power of thinking to digest, to absorb all that comes to you. All that comes to you. And when you develop your strength, that whatever comes to you, you digest that, you absorb that. I think that's right way when you can say more and more absorption, more and more absorption. You may not get saturated, don't worry. Even if you get stage of saturation, that would work for you. Just like we say soil is saturated or some other item is saturated. There we can say means no meaning, because further saturation won't happen. That is in physical mode. But when you work in thinking spectrum, and that is thinking, which is, of course, you can say God gift, I may say. Thinking may be called God gift, really speaking. It's of course God gift. I consider it God gift thinking. Maybe people don't realize this fact, but which I can say you have to construct yourself. Construct yourself. Nobody can construct for you. No engineering, no other science, no other knowledge can construct for you. You have to construct your way, a mental picture, a mental imagination, a mental photo in your mind. Where do you want to stand? And when you reach at that stage, you are able to construct using your intellect, using that power of thinking. You will get natural gift of support, and which is very really, you can say, becoming for you. I just put construction here. For what? For that. Construction of imaginary world. Construction of an non-existing physical world, but a world that tells you what you have to do. And we say, assume it. We say, let us assume when we try some formula, we say, let's assume value. This is this letter, this is this and this is that, or this value is that. We assume like that by notations or by some other way, by symbolic form, or we give this value and then we justify that. Same way, here you are getting information in wave form, unknown waves which are to be made known, and that is what we say engineering. Think plus think plus think plus dot do plus do plus do dot and deliver. Think sequence dot do sequence dot deliver. These three words, do means think, do and deliver. Though these are very good verbs. Very good verbs. But these are not only verbs. These are not only verbs. This is life. Life moves not that level as our mind moves. Mind, mind, when you have very small, you feel, it's childhood. You feel it's time to play because your that small minds want some game because it cannot move, it cannot think of more than that. But when your mind is big like mountain, when it's like sky, you do not like only small items. You do not like only small items to achieve in life. You want, you aspire to eat whole world into your mind, to draw whole world into your mind. That hunger is so vast. That hunger is so stormy, so volcanic that you want to drink whole ocean. You want to drink all ocean of power, all ocean of knowledge. That mind, if you develop in engineering, you are a different person. Sometimes your thinking gives something which is not very expensive. But criteria of that one is very important. If you produce that thing by doing something people do not know, it's really interesting. People don't know what you are going to do. That's what I say when I talk at length about thinking. I want to invite you all to that world of thinking. You all remain busy in profession. I'm not talking of common level of mind. I'm talking of elevated and much more than elevated level of mind. Mind, first of all, it's free to us. It doesn't cost anything, just like its natural support, natural product. We can't view it, we can't see it, but we use it every day. We use all time mind, to some extent very little, to some extent too big. And that's where mind plays its vital role. And as I said, mind never becomes critic, remember. Mind never becomes critics. It is we think it is critic. No, it's never critic. Mind never stops working. That is true. Mind never sleeps. That is true. And mind is your only friend. That is true. You use your mind as much as possible. It seeks more and more use. Mind seeks more and more use. Well, sometimes you may have headache, sometimes you have some other problem. That is different. That is different part. But when mind becomes very much active, you become very much active. Means you can do a lot for mind. You can think a lot even for mind. Means mind itself is thinker. But if you think a lot for this, you shall get a lot for that. So, when I say thinking, it doesn't mean thinking your way. It means thinking in a logical way. Whatever problem do we have to understand that problem. We have to evolve ourselves onto that. what does when we apply on that analysis? It say what way we are analyzing that problem, how did it come, how did it happen, and how can we get rid of this if it cannot go at once automatically. What we think about that. Those points are really commendable if you can think. Construction is based on only thinking. Only thinking. Yes, there are trends, there are industrial practices now, and you say, oh, it's standard practice and you have to do it. Yes, that's right. Something is industrial practice, and that is known to us. We are just repeating, we are just reapplying that work again, and we say this is practice. But that practice was not built immediately. It took a lot of time to do that practice. So when I shift on to thinking and then to construction, I think I can become a very good constructor. Because construction, when we say, we can say constructural work, construction means structure we are going to do, and that is concentration on structure. It can be called construction. We generally say construction, we never say destruction, because destruction happens due to construction alone as well nowadays, but that is very remotely. People do that very remotely, but construction helps people, helps society. My way of thinking and your way of thinking can be entirely different. But basics is same. Only difference is somebody thinks a lot and somebody does not think a lot. Means somebody wants to sleep, somebody doesn't want to sleep. But sleep is mandatory. It happens. So what I say in this long contemplation, if you want that engineering should be for you, engineering should be for this world, then do not think engineering profession in terms of wealth or in terms of money. Very important point in construction, I say construction. What do we construct? You have to think. We may say we are constructing this project, we are constructing this project. That is okay, that's fine. That's very, very fine. We construct this and we construct that. This everybody says. But that was pre-decided. This is our goal. So you are just doing on that. So that is physical construction. Physical construction, and that is done based on follow-up or implementation of designs. But those designers, those design people who do planning and who work on designs, who apply all theoretical knowledge onto transformation to that project, whatever it is, which involves all soil, structural, civil, architectural, etc., etc. That construction related design is very interesting. Maybe not for common people, but for those who know that world. Very, very interesting. I should not go oppose that. Those people They of course think critically all the time. Some people think critically, some people think loosely. Construction based thinking is very, very powerful. Construction based thinking. Construction based thinking, and you can say turnkey based thinking. Construction based or turnkey based or certification based, all are part of engineering, all are part of contracting. Contracting, we are talking movement on by two parties on single path. That movement or single path can remain active when both vehicles move on same path at same time, or one vehicle should say thank you, I'll wait for that, and let us conduct our paths. That is very important point. Turnkey, I say, you turn it and get it. Means you have to do everything. For project, you are an engineer, you can handle thousands of people in one day. This talk is related to construction contracts, and I know that everybody cannot understand contract in a way. These are very powerful mechanisms, quantum mechanism is very. We cannot simply put ourselves into certain position, but we have to understand thoroughly what our patient is. Turnkey, what does it mean? You have a key, you turn it, right? You have a key, you turn it in reverse direction. That is non-profit. When you turn key, you open that lock and you use this lock for some other or same one after work is done. We know when we say EPC, engineering procurement construction project, which defines that degree is involved while undergoing that project. That project is complete. It's complete, totality. It's not half, or it's not only construction, and it is from initiation. It is from, you can say, very beginning of even thinking of that project. Construction we defined last time, and we reached to some stage from where, you know, another rise or someone may come in. When people want completed projects in all directions, all, because even honor cannot define what that honor wants, accept some, approach. I want to make that factory here and there. In this position of turnkey project, we have to define lot, as we say, we define in construction project. We'll come back to this later. Now we concentrate on construction project. That is where we, we can say construction projects are enormously done, and we are at point, this is termination for we can say schedule of payment, advance payment, schedules of payment, plant and materials, and then it is issue of IPC. Statement of completion. It's very, very, you can say, statement of completion. It's big one. You cannot say that's one line. It's very big. What you have completed, you have to define that. It doesn't mean you write essays on that. Essay is not invited, statement is invited. And what is a statement? Do you know that? What is a statement? What is that statement we are looking at? There are different types of statements, you can say. Different variety of statements. I think we should have some. But that may be in word form. I am not interested in that. I had some. I can just go to my records. Meanwhile, you can say Don't be you look at this, but I had some work that time, and I can say that's very important point, the, I'm sorry, can say how to how to you know how to submit, how to make out statement. It's really very, you know it's very, you can say, I'm trying to find something. Phase 1 services contract termination notice. No, it's not that. Contractors advocate response submission notice. Performance report. There was phase 1 services. No. Mm. Performance status report 1. Phase 1 services. It's not. Yes, phase 1 response to later. Let us see this. If I can do this, let me see what format it is. Let me be sure about this. This is okay. Let us see what this format is. It's not that I was thinking of. No, it's not that. So let me find it. I try to find that service performance costing, response to letter, phase service contract termination notice. Not that. I'm trying to find this very interesting one. If I show you that one, because there's performance report. Performance report, that is phase 2. Sometime, let us say phase 2 supplies. Communication, let's see here. Well, I don't know where it is really. Maybe somewhere else, I think. PPR chemicals. Well, statement, because I wanted to show you, which is a great one, that statement. Well, it's a long work, so very, very old work actually. I wanted to share with you, it's very important point, but I'm lost somewhere. Sometimes it happens when you are with someone. Well, I think such PM, what is it? Your time, but I'll certainly get it out sometime. Maybe I forget where it was, but I'll take it down. It's very important document that I actually wanted to share with you. It's not something unknown, but it is. It only tells how to you know how to actually convert your work on project or your project work into a credible submission or a credible report that tells you are a professional, and that's very important point. I think supplies phase one, phase two. I think there is something. Is it right? That's a supply here. You can say API starts. It's not contract agreement actually. It is green POGCC SCC. Sorry. Petition. Skip starts and it's KPI petition notice mail. July additional processing. No, it's not that one. It's a very long document. It's not a small document. And order giveaways. I'm not able to find that. Unfortunately, it is. Well, okay. I'll take time and I'll see how to do that. I don't want to waste time here now. This continuous. It's very much continuous because I have to give. I'm sorry I could not get it now, but I will do it. Hi, Mr. Ramchandran. Good morning. Thank you. And still, I'm talking about contracting issues. I'm talking about in EPC mode. I said that what is EPC? That's conditions of contract for EPC. That turnkey projects are not suitable for use in following circumstances. This defines very good issue. This says in these circumstances we are talking in. it says it's not interested in following circumstances, which is this. If there is insufficient time, you can say, or information for tenderers to scrutinize and check employers' requirements. When time is not sufficient, not adequate, or information is not available for tenderers to check or to scrutinize what are requirements for them to carry out designs, risk assessment, studies and estimating. If construction involves substantial work, you know, if construction involves substantial work, underground or work in other areas, you can say, which the tenderers cannot inspect before tendering, unless special provisions are provided to account for unforeseen conditions, or if employer intends to supervise closely or control contractors' work, or to review most of construction drawing. So this is what it says. These are when you say statement of completion. Means you have to teach contractor or contractor has to teach you. It's different mode. You may say, well, my contractor is paying me salary or paying me my money, so I have to do my what my contractor says. If you have that intention, well, I will not call you professional. If you have that intention, solely developing you professionally, what my client says, what my contractor says, my company says, I will do that. This means you are not helping company. You are just moving in that stream, which stream may be right or may be wrong. Professional is employed for improvement of company, improvement of organization, to provide strength to that organization depending on caliber professional got in, based on educational qualification as well as experience and attainment on knowledge, on work. So, statement of completion means you got a contract, you started and performed that contract, and there are many documents related to that contract. Your organization, I mean, to say you are not a freelancer, your organization has worked in capacity as employer and as party to. Party to means contractor, and party one is owner or employer. I just remind. When both parties have relations, contractual relations for certain project, those relations are never permanent. Those relations can never be permanent, and these have to terminate one time forever. These relations, because project means a process for a fixed duration. Project contract means we are we have agreed, employer and employer and contractor on that contract agreed that this within this duration or on this duration and last day of duration date you have to hand over, and it's not necessary you hand over on same date, you can hand over early also. That is, you can say, preferable. Now, what I'm saying, statement at completion. Statement at completion. What completion? You shall say project completion. Okay, project completion. Agreed. It can be contract completion. Or leave completion aside. Leave completion aside. And you say this project was for performance. This project, whether it was for supply or it was for services or it was for designs or it was for whatever purpose. Whatever purpose was designed and built, you have to hand over that project to its owner because this project was a job for you. This project was not ownership for you. This was temporary responsibility to you for certain consideration and for certain duration. You have to give it back, well done, well performed, to its owner in exchange of some project fixed lump sum or whatever method of measurement. This means you have to submit a performance report. Performance report to get back your performance security. So you can relate like this. Performance security comes back to you only when project is completely handed over or performed. Means even if there is maintenance period involved, that must also go, and all defects must be clear out, and that is called defects notification period. So your job of completion means your contract involved project has been well done, and you have to report through engineer to employer. You have to report directly to engineer that this project has been performed or this contract has been performed. That performance should be documented. It's not simply a line statement. No. It should be professional document. Professional in a sense, it speaks on its own without any further corroboration. It should speak for itself. So what I have done, this document should be precise but explanatory, point by point. So it should be kind of a few pages, maybe few pages of consistent writing and competent information with complete clarity and giving complete account of that project, that contract, which you can say, we can entitle that document as performance report or contract performance report, whatever name you can give. So title can be contract performance report or project contract performance report. And then it should have a complete statement point by point and required by requirement. So what is requirement? You know what is name of project. You know what is number of contract, and you can write all information that is available in brief in contract data. You know what is contract data. So you can say it's a kind of reference, and beginning can be that we are writing this statement. Of course it's a statement. When you are writing something, it's a statement. And important point is, because you have done construction, because it was a construction contract, you did it, you performed it, and you are now giving declaration. You are now submitting a declaration, duly certified by yourself, that this contract has been done, this project has been done, and these are data, date of completion, date of start, and then what are contract conditions, what is contract amount, which you can say very important one, contract amount, that you are going to claim. You are going to claim that contract has been done. So we should be back, money should be back to us. But you have to tell what you have done. That's most important part of this statement. This contract data, all this, everybody knows. You have put them in writing back for reference. Reference is that, but we are talking of work. What did you do? There is particular conditions of contract, and there is general conditions of contract. You were bound by all contract conditions. You have to clarify, you have to clear, you have to make it clear that you did not violate anyone. You did not violate any condition. You did not keep anything unfulfilled. You did not keep any condition unfulfilled if it required to be filled. So you have to go through all your contract documents, I mean to say contracts, conditions, whichever are applicable and were applicable, one by one, and you have to make sure you write that on that report, performance report. This was affected or not affected, this was applied or not applied, or if it was not applied, why it was not applied. Sometimes what happens, some conditions cannot be applied, or due to whatever reasons this could not be applied, because when you include certain conditions, we assume that these conditions are required and these conditions would work. But sometimes it happens that it doesn't do, these do not. So what do we say? What is the completion statement? Now each condition you have to write reference, at least if not everything, and say this was applied successfully, or this was not applied successfully, or this was required, or this was superfluous, not required. There should not be a single condition on both particular and general that has been left untouched. And also you have to refer, for example, dispute resolution conditions 2, that's separate contract, but 2 you have to write that. There was no need or there was need, or what works were done. You have to then give a detail of works, means how many percent work which were in scope, and it's best if you can analyze in certain tabulation form what was the scope of work. This is scope of work technically, according to contract, what you had to do. Quantity wise, if possible, I think is much better. And we performed it, we did it date wise or otherwise. How many percent work you have done and what was in scope. Did you leave any work, or was any work withdrawn? Likewise, you can say this is performance percentage, and we completed it, and this was cost. This cost is claimable. I'm not saying go detailed one. This cost means this possible cost, and we were paid this amount. So our due cost is this. Our cost to be credited to us is this one. So you can say this is your account, temporary account, and there is nothing that we are claiming which is undue. And then you can say there was no issue of extension of time of contract, or if there was an issue, we have to include that as well. So you are just procuring all information from contract, conditions, from technical contents, and whether problem or accidents, we can just refer to that one. And also warranted items, you can say they shall continue until these warranties are done or completed. And you can say that this statement, we are declaring by this statement that this project is closed on behalf of contractor, party 2, and if you have certain comments, certain observation on this report, you are free to refer it to us. Whatever number of days notice you are giving, generally 60 days, 30 days, you can say 30 days. In a period of 30 days or 4 weeks, you please tell us if something is missing or some work which should have been done has not been done. And that's how I can say depends on your own system. And you also write, we have done work according to safety, health and environment requirements of OSHA or whatever, and also that quality standards that were required of by this contract have been completed. So if this is similar project, there will be many projects for you, so you can write every report for every project, and then you can, there's no way of electronics now. When you compile such a statement in such an explanatory and speaking mode, it's not lawyer's statement, I'll write a letter, I have this money to take from you, and no, I'm not taking that. You are giving this statement along with spreadsheet calculations, because spreadsheet is very much important here. Then you can say I have declared completion, and you're waiting for owner's response or engineer's response on that. You also give in writing about environmental issue, how we successfully deliver results. If you can do that, I mean, a report in a couple of pages, maybe 4 page, 5 page, 10 page, depending on your scope of work, and you can say section wise as well or discipline wise as well. This is civil, this is other discipline, electrical, mechanical, or whatever is involved with us. Yes. That report, a kind of submission to party 1. Yes, you can do that. That report you can entitle as performance report of contract. This is 50% declaration, and another 50% has to come from owner. Now you have done your job, you have given statement of completion, this is called statement of completion, and let that owner respond. This is not complaint, this is a report, which is your duty, closing duty of that project. I did it for many cases, and even it was in arbitration as well. Those lawyers dealing with such, or those arbitrators reading such reports, were astonished actually. And while advocates just write one letter and that's all. I realized that these professionals, law professionals, lack in and they do not have strong background in contracts of construction. So when I say statement and completion here according to this, what does it say? We have to read that as well. We have to read that. What does it say? And what it says, let us